left to right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Party on part of the TPL Media Network. With us today, we have Jack. You can follow him on Twitter at JackConnellTPL. How you doing, Jack?
Doing good. Feel great. Ready to be here.
Let's go. Eagles Tuesday, I guess. With the Eagles won 32-27 on Sunday versus the Washington Redskins. Joining us today, we also have Steven. Make sure you follow his YouTube channel, Steven Conrad Jr. How you doing, Steven?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you shouting out the channel so I don't have to self-promote and look like a jerk on your podcast. Appreciate you having me, Chris.
You do that on Reddit, you're out. We also have the Philly Special Podcast. How you doing, Victor?
Hey guys, what's going on? Victory Tuesday. Still, it feels the same as Victory Monday. Happy to be on the show. Still coming down from the high and the Deshaun Jackson. So can't wait to get into it.
Love it. The Eagles are 1-0. They face the Atlanta Falcons this coming Sunday night. Let's talk about top takeaways from Sunday's game. Who wants to lead us off? Go, Victor. Go, man.
Oh, me first? All right. So my top takeaways. Number one, MVP Carson Wentz is back. I don't care if that's premature to say. I don't care if it's only one game and whatever. He is looking like the 2017 Carson Wentz. He doesn't look like the timid Carson Wentz from 2018. So that's always good. The touchdown throw to Alshon that I've watched probably 80 times over by now. Only a few quarterbacks can make that throw. And of course, Deshaun Jackson doesn't age. At 32 years old, he's still just as effective as he was back in 2008, and we'll dive into it in a bit. But those are my main two takeaways. Carson Wentz is back, and Deshaun Jackson should have never left, but we all know that.
The Carson Wentz and Deshaun Jackson show. It's happening. It's all happening. Jack, what was some of your top takeaways from Sunday's game?
To start off, they were a little bit rusty to start, but that was happening when half their starters rested through all preseason. They shook it off. Exactly like 2017 being the second half team came out and destroyed Washington. That second half completely took over. I'm not nervous at all going to Atlanta. I'm excited to see what they got.
Okay. How about you, Steven?
Well, the obvious ones, like Vic said, Carson Wentz being back. Listen, that stat, 12 of 13 on third down. Did we expect that his first game back? It's his first game back, and I know it's the Redskins and everything. And then another thing I just wanted to add, how about Carson Wentz and Deshaun Jackson, the chemistry between those two? Look, that was the first time they were on an official NFL field together, and that happens, yikes. Would not want to be an opposing defense the rest of the season. It's only going to get better.
We talked about this on the last Party and Broad. Steven, great point. We talked about timing. I was really worried about the lack of timing on offense. It looked like Deshaun Jackson and Carson Wentz didn't miss a beat. It looked like they were in mid-season form. That was incredible, Steven.
I agree. That's awesome.
It's good for Steven's third down stat. In addition to that, his under pressure stats were great too. And what qualified as him under pressure, he had the one sack that he didn't really lose yardage. He tried to rush and didn't get past the line. But on the other dropbacks he had, he was 8 for 9, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns with a perfect passer rating, and that's him with pressure around him. So give him time, and it's almost a certainty at this point. So Carson Wentz is already in midseason form, in my opinion. But
third down offense,
that's premature.
Third down offense, like you said, Steven. The Eagles were the second best team in third down offense in 2017. Last year, they were second worst in the NFL. They were the best team in the NFL on Sunday, actually. 11 of 17 on third down total. I think the two 50-yard bombs to Deshaun Jackson were on third down. It was just that has to make you feel good. Any other takeaways, Jack?
Line look good. Brandon Brooks coming off the tournament, he's playing 50-some snaps. This is incredible. Played fine. I think they'll be great this year. Running backs, I don't know why Darren Sproles got so many carries. We'll get into that later. That's just the one kind of question I had.
All right. Miles.
I got one for you guys.
Yeah, go.
All right.
Okay, so asking whoever you compare with me too. But
Oh.
are they not as good as what we think they're gonna be?
Nah,
What's up?
they rusty. Sendejo's
Rusty?
terrible. Number one. Number two. Who got beat on the McLaurin touchdown? I can't see the yard. I forget who got beat.
Rasul Douglas.
Was it
That's-
Douglas?
Razul? Oh, that will shock me.
In my opinion, that was a terrible matchup. Rasul Douglas is your slowest corner.
Yeah, I don't blame Razul there. You just can't keep up with him.
They need to work on those matchups. I mean, that's nothing they can really do if you're in a zone defense. That's just your side. That's your coverage. So, I mean, they just definitely need the game plan. Washington's receiver core is terrible. Atlanta, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Austin Hooper. Those guys coming at you next week compared to this group. You got to prepare. You got to be ready.
I love it. Yeah, how about that third quarter, that missed pass by Case Keenum in the third quarter to McLaurin? That was so big, man. That changed, that missed pass, that could have just completely flipped the game, I thought. It was just second half domination. Who are you, besides Carson Wentz, besides Deshaun Jackson, any top standouts you want to bring up? Go ahead, Vic.
Top standouts for me has to be the quick recovery of Brandon Brooks. It wasn't talked about a whole lot. He came back from that Achilles on most players wouldn't, most players have a hard time recovering from that, and even when they do come back, they don't perform in the way that Brandon Brooks does. I believe he was a top offensive lineman this week. Yep. So I think that it wasn't spoken enough, obviously, because they're offensive linemen. But Brandon Brooks gets my standout just for the fact that he was ready to go and not even on the injury report at all when week 1 was underway.
I want to give a little love to Derek Barnett. I was more critical than
Did he do anything?
anyone.
Did he do anything?
Derek Barnett, he led the team in quarterback. He had 3 quarterbacks.
Oh, okay.
And he led the defensive end in with 4 tackles, and he played the most snaps out of any defensive end on Sunday. Little love to Derek Barnett. I thought he was very impressive, especially in that, not the first quarter, but second, third, fourth. He really got it going. Any other top standouts? Go ahead, Steven.
You actually just stole mine, and I'm glad you brought up the 3 QB hits that he had. I just want to add to that while we're at it. That stat really stands out to me, and for some reason, am I getting the wrong perception here? A lot of people weren't too pleased with Derek Barnett. I heard mixed results. I don't know. I thought he had a pretty good game. What do you guys think?
I think he did fine. I don't know where they were definitely all slow to start the first half. I think they came out the second half a lot better. I mean, when you got so many guys like that coming after him, it's very hard to distinguish outside Fletcher Cox, just one person dominating. I really don't think there was really any criticism there that was justified.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. If I had to give him a grade, I'd probably give him right around a B+. I thought he was fine. What about you?
For who are we talking about?
Derek Barnett.
Derek Barnett. See, that's why I asked if he did anything, because I didn't hear his name his name too much. I don't know if that was me just either being distracted or once they're on defense, I'm just waiting for them to go back on offense. But if he truly led the team in QB hits, I think they had 3 defensive linemen out of 5 that led the team in hurries. I think it was Barnett, Graham, and Fletcher Cox this week. So once we get into the Malik Jackson thing, I think Derek Barnett will continue to emerge. He's supposed to be this is supposed to be the year he emerges, and I think he'll only improve from this game.
And then go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, my main thing I think that isn't spoken enough about defensive end in the run game is just outside contain. You didn't see the run game that second half, they completely stuffed them. Defensive ends, if they go staying inside, they'll run back and bounce right outside. And Derek Barnett did a good job of holding his outside, making running backs cut inside to the linebackers, to Fletcher Cox, to Malik Jackson, and I just thought that was a not very spoken about part. It's not very spoken about part in general about defensive ends, but it's a pretty good job.
And little love to Miles Sanders. 11 carries, led the team in carries. He only had 25 yards, but I thought he excelled really well in pass protection. What's your thoughts on Darren Sproles and Miles Sanders in the first half, and then Jordan Howard, the Mariano Rivera, the Brad Lidge in the third and fourth quarter? Go ahead, Jack.
I really don't like Darren Sproles getting that many carries. He's in the twilight career. I love Darren Sproles to death, but I really don't think he should be getting those carries. Corey Clement, when he gets healthier, I really think should be taking all those. I think Sproles at this point is a very rare running back and more of a special teamer. I really think it should be Miles Sanders. I don't know why they reserved Jordan Howard for the fourth. I really think they should have just been going 1 and 2 with those guys. And when Corey Clement gets back, maybe switch it up a bit. But Sproles really shouldn't have seen that much action.
How about you, Victor?
So I agree that Darren Sproles shouldn't see that much action. Limiting him to special teams, though, I think would also be a mistake. You have to use him in gadget plays and things like that. Jordan Howard should definitely. He was stuck on 2 carries for 12 yards for a long time, and we're all wondering like when's he gonna get this next carry. I think he ended at over 7 yards a carry at the end of the game. So him and Miles Sanders, obviously we expected Miles Sanders to have a big bulk of them. I believe he had 9 carries. So that was to be expected. Doug Peterson didn't do him any favors with the plays that he called for Miles Sanders. So I don't blame that on my own. I think Corey Clement is fully healthy. I just think that out of the 4 backs, he will see the least amount of time. But Darren Sproles, I understand he's at the twilight of his career, but to say that he shouldn't use him at all is I don't agree with that. But I think he could be used sparingly. Like he could be used, like I said, 5 to 7 touches, getting 11 carries, leading the being up there in the tier of carries definitely shouldn't be done again for the remainder of the season. He needs to be used sparingly.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think he should be that primary 2-back in the first half. I'm saying, I mean, I get the utility plays, special plays once in a while. I'm just saying he really shouldn't be that second back.
Yeah, he led the team in touches in the first half. The whole play calling in the first half was pretty shoddy. You had Alshon Jeffrey, Dallas Goedert, and who was it? It was and Zach Ertz only had 1 touch each in the first half. Crazy to me. For a team that runs the most 12 personnel in the league, that just blows my mind. Any last go ahead, Steven.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, Chris. I didn't see very much 12-man personnel at all to start this game off. I don't know if it was due to the matchup or, for God's sake, Doug's comfortability or Deuce Staley, whoever's decision it is to have Darren Sproles in the game. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I didn't like him being the lead back, if you want to call him that, in the first half. Definitely don't like that plan moving forward. I expect Miles Sanders to kind of take on that role. Jordan Howard needs more touches. The stats prove it. And yeah, I mean, he's a much younger player, and we brought Jordan Howard here for a reason. So let's use the guy. He's got a final year on his contract. I know Darren Sproles, this is his last year, but right, this is his last year probably.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, him and Jason Peters will play till they're 50, but is what it is.
All right. Any last standouts you guys want to bring up? I love the Brandon Brooks Victor. That was a good one. Led all guards, according to Pro Football Focus, led all guards on Sunday. Any last?
Reliable as PFF can be.
All right.
Last takeaways. No, I think that's it. Nobody else.
I think we're good.
I think we're
we
good.
didn't see. Did we see any Arthur Whiteside? He only calls the hold, right? That was it.
Hold.
Yeah, yes or no before we move on? Yes or no? Miles Sanders is the number 1 back on the Eagles. Go, Jack.
No, Jordan Howard.
Okay. How about you, Victor?
No, not what you want. No. Is he the back, or who do you want to be the back?
I think Jordan. I mean, you didn't really see much of Jordan Howard. I really think he did a good job in the 4th. I think Miles.
Yeah, 6 carries. He definitely not the number 1.
I think Miles Sanders still needs a little bit of time getting acclimated. I still think he should be Jordan Howard for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
and then,
should and is 2 different things.
Yes or no, Victor? Number 1 back, Miles Sanders. Yes or no?
Right now, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Steven.
Honestly, yeah, because even this early in his career, I just think, like, on that play where he scored that touchdown, I know there was a holding call, which, by the way, was a terrible call. I mean, you saw the ability there, the shiftiness, the position. He's no other back on this team really has that. So
even the run where he got tackled inside the 10, that was kind of his 2 highlights between that Doug provided for him. So those 2 plays kind of show you that Doug is going to use them a lot more. And if him and Darren are going to lead the way, then let's hope it's okay. Let's hope they make it. I just hope that Jordan Howard doesn't get upset at some point. But he has a contract year. He'll get paid wherever he goes, maybe. And
All right. Let's talk about some Week 2 Atlanta Falcons Sunday Night Football, baby. It's hard to believe.
I hate that.
Let's go.
I hate Sunday night. From a content perspective, it's gonna be so hard to do a pod after that.
It's gonna be brutal, man. It's gonna be brutal. You just have to suck it up. It's hard to believe that the Atlanta Falcons were in the Super Bowl just 3 years ago. The Falcons lost 28-12 versus the Minnesota Vikings. But it was much, much worse than that. The Falcons were down 28-0 in the 4th quarter on Sunday. The Falcons spent pretty much the majority of last offseason spending money on the basically the offensive line, drafting 2 in the first round. And then I think they signed 2 in the offseason to really protect Matt Ryan. They were just garbage on Sunday. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, you know all those guys. Then you have a 2018 first rounder, Calvin Ridley. He had a touchdown. Deion Jones, linebacker. Defensive tackle Grady Jarrett was really, really good on Sunday. I think that's one of the matchups we're going to talk about and get into. He had a strip sack and 2 tackles for loss in that game. Devontae Freeman was pretty much non-existent. 8 carries, 19 yards. Overall, it was a pretty much nightmare kind of day for the Falcons. They had 3 turnovers, terrible passes by Matt Ryan. The O-line was a mess. They just had brutal play calling. It was just a train wreck of a game. What are some of the matchups you are looking forward to on Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons? Go ahead, Victor.
So the one guy I think we should keep an eye on is the backup to Devontae Freeman, Ito Smith. I think that with the departure of Tevin Coleman, I think he'll be the guy behind Devontae Freeman, and he's a lot more elusive than Devontae Freeman. He's kind of the downhill runner, and Ito Smith did make some noise last season, with or without Tevin Coleman there. I think he's going to be the guy we have to watch out of the backfield. The Eagles have a hard time containing those backs back there, so I think that'll be one matchup, and of course, I hope and pray that Avonte Maddox is on Julio Jones, just so I can get an idea of what Avonte Maddox is going to be able to do. Obviously, don't leave him on an island. Provide him with safety help, whether it's Jenkins or I hope it ain't Sendejo, but or any of the other guys. I hope that we can do something. I think Avonte Maddox is going to be the best bet to put on Julio Jones without Jalen Mills here. He'd be the most physical because Julio isn't the fastest. It's just going to be. I can't predict who they're going to put on Julio. My gut tells me they're going to throw Darby on there just because he's the most proven guy. But Darby is so bad with physical players that I don't want to see Julio run through him every single play for slants or whatever. The secondary and Julio and then containing Ito Smith would be my 2 main keys right there.
All right. The one I have is Deshaun Jackson versus Isaiah Oliver. Oliver is basically the second cornerback for the Falcons. He got burnt by Adam Thielen. That's the one I want to see this Sunday. Just kind of finding that matchup. Doug Peterson should be rolling Deshaun Jackson all over the place, all over the field. That is definitely one. How about you, Steven? Do you have a matchup you're looking at?
You guys hit on a few of the key ones. I mean, the first thing that always comes to my mind when we're facing Atlanta is whoever's guarding Julio Jones or the combo of guys that are going to be trying to guard him. I kind of have a general kind of plan I think the Eagles should follow with facing this Atlanta Falcons defense, who a lot think, it's a pretty good defense. We can probably agree on that. But to me, they're like a fast finesse style of defense. I don't know if you guys can agree with me on that or not, but I think this Philadelphia Eagles team needs to play a physical brand of football. I better see some 12-man personnel against this fast Atlanta Falcons defense. The classic Chip Kelly line, big guys beat up little guys. I want to see that this Sunday night.
You want to hear a crazy stat, Steven? I have a really crazy stat for you, Steven. Since over the last 6 drafts, the Atlanta Falcons have drafted 2 defensive players in the top 100. They haven't had a top 20 defense in the last 7 years, the Atlanta Falcons. How about that?
Yes. Wow. Every time I think of Atlanta, I just think of beating them in 2004. So to get to the Super Bowl, that's what I go to.
My go-to is
Chad Lewis
really cool day when we beat them. It was we saw the Killers at the Wells Fargo Center. It was a playoff game, right? So it came down to the 4th quarter. I remember just watching it at the Wells Fargo Center. We tailgated, had fun. It was so cold that we had the cops come to us, and they were letting us watch the game in their car so we could stay warm and watching the game through the car on our TV that was sitting on our car. It was nuts. But anyway, any matchups you're looking for, Jack?
I mean, just in general, the secondary versus Julio Jones. I mean, even Calvin Ridley, also I talked about earlier. If you're going to let that Washington's receiving corps do that on you, I'm nervous about what a good receiving corps is going to do against you. I mean, rush defense, I'm not worried about, even the loss of Blake Jackson. I think the offensive line should handle their stuff against this defensive line. I'm not worried about any of their defense, like we just talked about. Their receiving, their offense is just what scares me. The passing offense.
I have one for you guys. How about Tim Jernigan? We just found out that Malik Jackson's out for the season with a Liz Frank injury. Victor, should we be nervous about that? Go ahead.
About Malik Jackson going down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. My big thing is like we relied on him so much to be that guy next to Fletcher Cox and dominate in the middle. And Timmy Jernigan is a good pairing with him, just not on the level that Malik Jackson is. It's difficult. He's already out for the season. We got Akeem Spence in here. He doesn't contribute a whole lot, but at least it's another body. I think the defensive line is deep enough to withstand it. I don't think it's going to be a detriment of that much of a magnitude. I think if we have to see some of Hassan Ridgeway, I mean we'll pray for it. But I think the defensive line is deep enough to overcome it. Next man up, as we say here in Philadelphia.
I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified.
Are you really?
I'm skeptical of this defensive line. I liked what I saw from Barnett. Obviously, Fletcher Cox is incredible. But man, one little slip of that injury bug on that defensive line, I'm nervous. How about you, Jack? Should we be concerned about Malik Jackson's injury?
I really don't think so. You are very deep at the defensive line. You have Timmy Jernigan there. You can move in Brandon Grant or Josh Sweat inside the tackle. God forbid you can move to a 3-man rush and you can bring a outside linebacker and blitz. I'm not worried at all. I really don't think an average defensive tackle, when you're loaded defensive tackle, isn't going to completely hurt you. You have Fletcher Cox, you have Brandon Graham, you have Derek Barnett. I mean, Malik Jackson's good, but he was the weakest of the 4. So, I mean, you still have your 3 other elite defensive rushers. I'm not worried at all.
I don't see depth on the defensive end. Your defensive tackle position was supposed to be the strength of the defense. It's not anymore. Jim Schwartz doesn't like to blitz. He likes to rely on four-man getting to the quarterback. I'm nervous. How about you, Steven?
I'm leaning more towards your viewpoint, Chris. I'm definitely nervous because Malik Jackson, the whole reason we brought him in was to complement Fletcher Cox on the inside there, and I thought he was a good complement. It now falls on, I guess, Timmy Jernigan, who has proved to be a pretty good defensive tackle in this league. But what if he gets dinged up? Then we're really screwed, you know what I mean? And I feel like we need every ounce of help we can possibly get on that defensive line, every ounce of contribution, because I don't know about this secondary, man, from either a scheme point or talent. I don't know if they can hold up long enough for the defensive line to get any pressure, if that makes sense. So it falls on the whole unit as a defense as well. The back 7 and 2.
And it couldn't be better timing right now because the offensive tackles of the Atlanta Falcons struggled mightily last week versus the Vikings. Jake Matthews, Caleb McGarry, they just got killed. This should be just barbecue chicken for Derek Barnett and Brandon Graham. All right. Any other matchups you want to talk about? Give me something.
Not other matchups. Real quick, if I look distracted for a minute, it's because I'm reading this report. Antonio Brown just got accused of rape by his former trainer. So this saga will never end, ever.
I just got that too.
It's literally... Yeah, I was like, I know I wasn't paying attention for a second. I was like reading the report, trying to pay attention at the same time, and it is super detailed. Like, it's kind of graphic. It's bad.
Oh
no!
It's bad.
That's horrible. Man, one thing to the next with Antonio Brown. Let's talk about game predictions. What is your gut feeling for the game on Sunday, Jack? What's too specific? What do you think?
I don't know. I just have a feeling it's just going to end up on goal line, down by 6, 3 goal line fades to Julio Jones, all incomplete and the time runs out.
All right.
But, in all seriousness, I really don't think it should be that close of a game. I mean, I think the Eagles will pull out. I think it'll be close for a half, and the Eagles will pull away. I really don't see Atlanta's an issue. If you keep some sort of check, or you keep pace with them, there's no reason why you shouldn't win. Devontae Freeman should not run all over this defense. I'm not worried.
All right. How about you, Steven?
So I'll state the obvious. This team cannot afford to start off slow against a team like the Atlanta Falcons. They aren't not the Washington Redskins. With that being said, I expect this offense to start off better from a play calling standpoint and just being more aggressive down the field, not throwing 5-yard passes and stuff like that. I think this game will be close, but I think the Eagles are going to string together enough offense and defensive drives towards the end of the third quarter and win by, let's say, 10 points. So my final score prediction, I like to do these.
I like to do these. It's my specialty.
I'm going to say Eagles 34, Falcons 24.
All right. How about you, Vic?
All right, so I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. If we had a tough enough time for one half with Washington no-name receivers, Julio and Calvin will sure have their way with us until they figure it out. But I do think we have enough offensive firepower to compete with Atlanta. I think it'll be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be I don't think they're going to run away with it. It might make it to the fourth, and the Eagles will pull out. I'm with a 31-28 win for the Eagles.
Woo!
Guys.
God, I'm going the same way I went with the Redskins.
If you say it's a loss, I'm never doing one of these again.
I didn't say the Redskins game was going to be a loss. I didn't say it at all. In fact, I said it was going to be a brutal first half and that the Eagles would pull it out in the third quarter. What happened? So I think this is going to be probably more so another comeback victory for the Eagles. I think it's going to go down to the very last second field goal, something along those lines. You look at the Falcons; they were a train wreck last week. Part of me thinks that they're going to at least.
Did they play last week?
They played the Minnesota Vikings.
They played, and did they win?
No,
they got killed.
Kirk Cousins beat them. Oh my! Oh, you're right. Dalvin Cook ran all over them. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It was the Falcons could not have done anything more wrong in that game. They had 9 penalties.
Kirk Cousins beat them. Yeah.
Matt Ryan was overthrowing players. It was just everything. It was quicksand. Everything that could have went wrong went wrong. I don't think that happens this Sunday versus the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to have to play a really tight game. If the Eagles come out flat like they did versus the Washington Redskins, this is going to be a tough game. I'm somewhere along the lines of a 23-20 Eagles win.
I think that feels good.
I think it's going to be a brutal game. It's going to be sloppy. I don't think it's going to be that big of a shootout. I think it's going to be a defensive turnover that leads to a victory. Any last comments before we wrap this up? Go ahead, Jack.
I'll just go Birds. I mean, I heard
just go Birds.
I mean, I'm not really that nervous about this game. They just need to watch Atlanta receivers. I mean, start of the season. I mean, they have a very easy schedule this year. Atlanta will probably be one of, and they're not even, I wouldn't even say they're one of the tougher teams they will face this year. I really am not that nervous. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
All right. How about you, Vic? What do you got going on with the Philly special?
Oh, Philly special. I got Connor Miles is joining the show tomorrow. He writes for the Birds for Fansided and Inside the Eagles. He'll be on tomorrow to preview the game and do a lot of similar things we did today, predictions, key matchups, things like that. I was gonna have Alex McIntyre from she does sports photography for Philly, but if you haven't heard of her name, she was in the midst of that. Like Scott. Yeah, a little busy. I'm gonna let her breathe for a couple of weeks and then let her figure that out. But here's my last thing. Go ahead, Chris. You got it.
I loved her little rampage against Angelo Cataldi.
It was well deserved, man. I cannot stand that guy.
Perfect.
He is. I hope I'm never associated with that guy. But my thing with one last thing about the Redskins game, everybody panicked about the Vernon Davis touchdown. But the last time Case Keenum threw an opening drive touchdown to a tight end, we went to the Super Bowl. So I don't know why everybody was panicking. But that was the one. That was the one analysis I had from that game. But yeah, I think I'm predicting another win on week 2. Who do we play week 3? Not to jump too far ahead.
I feel like
it's Detroit. Who got the schedule in front of him? I feel like Chris got that thing. Dang.
I got to fly.
I'm trying to predict our first loss, but it's not going to be the Falcons. So.
No, and
we're in Atlanta. We're in Atlanta, right?
Yes, Sunday night in Atlanta.
I hate night games, though. I really can't stand night games.
Is there anything worse than?
How about that Deshaun Watson? How about that?
Like. You guys, Jack and Steven, you guys are young, but work on a Monday morning after.
I'm young too. What is this? What?
No, I can relate to you, man.
I'm young.
I got school Monday morning.
This is horrible.
Who cares about
25? Oh my god. Jack, Steve, you're young. Just leave me out of it. What do I look old? This is horrible. I got crazy. already. How about Deshaun Watson last night, though? The one dude I might take over Carson Wentz is Deshaun Watson.
We were talking about
you guys got me on that train.
Wow, we were talking
Jack
about
got me on that
one
train.
fantasy league, so
Yeah, that's one guy, but
Oh.
you can't give Drew Brees that much time. You can't do it.
Speaking of fantasy football, Vic, do you want to like give me a little props for?
Nah, I'm cool, bro. We'll have it. Yo, Will Lutz, once he made that game winner, that put you over the edge, and that was it. It's a long season. It's a long season. All right,
enjoy your victory this week, Chris, because you got me next week. And
You're going down, man.
Today.
You're going down.
All right.
I don't know anything about fantasy.
How much did Jack win by? How much did Jack
What's
win by? How much did you win by, Jack?
I was up by like 14. I had Drew Brees left. I did 18 bench from.
Who was your first round pick? Who's your top player?
Saquon.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, yeah, you won. All right, next.
How about you?
Steven in the league, right?
What do you got going on your YouTube page? What do you got going on?
Kind of just experimenting and stuff for those of you who haven't watched. Doing a lot of live shows. Maybe doing a kind of like weekly type thing Thursday nights for those of you that want to come around. May even feature some guests on the show. I can reach out to some. Not like the guests that Victor has on his podcast, but we're working on it.
People gonna think I get like freaking. People gonna think I got Stephen A on the show or something.
Listen, I did a guest on Victor's comedy shit in May.
Yeah, you're still on there. I gotta take your episode down, Jack, for that Andrew Luck jersey. I gotta unpublish some. I gotta take some down.
We also
I really wore that jersey.
to wrap it up. Lastly, we have to give a little prop to Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders for retweeting our Blue tweet on our Twitter page. That was
all right.
That was nuts.
Gordon, don't forget Melvin. Melvin's in there.
Yeah. All right. So
how about that?
Mr. Crocker,
Gordon liked my tweet 2 weeks ago.
follow Jack on Twitter, Jack Connell TPL. Make sure you follow the Philly Special Podcast at the Philly Pod. For Victor and Steven, his YouTube page at Steven Conrad Jr. I'm gonna get it one day, and then on Twitter at Philly
Conrad Jr.
Pod.
That's a mouthful, bro.
Swinging a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me get a hell yeah!